Raguel, Chapter 7. As they entered Ecbatana, Tobias said, Brother Azarias, take me at once to our brother Raguel's. And he showed him the way to the house of Raguel, whom they found sitting beside his courtyard door. They greeted him first, and he replied, Welcome and greetings, brothers. And he took them into his house. He said to his wife Edna, How like my brother Tobit this young man is? Edna asked them where they came from. They said, We are sons of Naphtali, exiled in Nineveh. Do you know our brother Tobit? Yes. How is he? He is alive and well. And Tobias added, He is my father. Raguel leapt to his feet and kissed him and wept. Then, finding words, he said, Blessings on you, child. You are the son of a noble father. How sad it is that someone so bright and full of good deeds should have gone blind. He fell on the neck of his kinsman, Tobias, and wept. And his wife Edna wept for him, and so did his daughter Sarah. Raguel killed a ram from the flock, and they gave them a warm welcome. They washed and bathed and sat down to table. Then Tobias said to Raphael, Brother Azarias, will you ask Raguel to give me my sister Sarah? Raguel overheard the words and said to the young man, Eat and drink, and make the most of your evening. No one else has the right to take my daughter Sarah, no one but you, my brother. In any case, even I am not at liberty to give her to anyone else, since you are her next of kin. However, my boy, I must be frank with you. I have tried to find a husband for her 7 times among our kinsmen, and all of them have died the first evening on going to her room. But for the present, my boy, eat and drink. The Lord will grant you his grace and peace. Tobias spoke out, I will not hear of eating and drinking till you have come to a decision about me. Raguel answered, Very well, since by the prescription of the book of Moses she is given to you. Heaven itself decrees she shall be yours. I therefore entrust your sister to you. From now on, you are her brother and she is your sister. She is given to you from today forever. The Lord of heaven favor you tonight, my child, and grant you his grace and peace. Raguel called for his daughter Sarah, took her by the hand, and gave her to Tobias with these words, I entrust her to you. The law and the ruling recorded in the book of Moses assign her to you as your wife. Take her, bring her home safe and sound to your father's house. The God of heaven grant you a good journey in peace. Then he turned to her mother and asked her to fetch him writing paper. He drew up the marriage contract, and so he gave his daughter as bride to Tobias according to the ordinance of the law of Moses. After this, they began to eat and drink. Raguel called his wife Edna and said, My sister, prepare the second room and take her there. She went and made the bed in this room as he had ordered, and took her daughter to it. She wept over her, then wiped away her tears and said, Courage, daughter, may the Lord of heaven turn your grief to joy. Courage, daughter, and she went out. The grave. Chapter 8. When they had finished eating and drinking, and it seemed time to go to bed, the young man was taken from the dining room to the bedroom. Tobias remembered Raphael's advice. He went to his bag, took the fish's heart and liver out of it, and put some on the burning incense. The reek of the fish distressed the demon, who fled through the air to Egypt. Raphael pursued him there, shackled him, and strangled him forthwith. The parents meanwhile had gone out and shut the door behind them. Tobias rose from the bed and said to Sarah, Get up, my sister, you and I must pray and petition our Lord to win his grace and his protection. She stood up and they began praying for protection, and this was how he began. You are blessed, O God of our fathers. Blessed too is your name, for ever and ever. Let the heavens bless you, and all things you have made for evermore. You it was who created Adam, you who created Eve his wife, to be his help and support, and from these two the human race was born. You it was who said, "It is not right that the man should be alone. Let us make him a helper like him." And so I take my sister, not for any lustful motive, but I do it in singleness of heart. Be kind enough to have pity on her and on me, and bring us to old age together. And together they said, "Amen, amen," and they lay down for the night. But Raguel rose and called his servants, who came and helped him dig a grave. He had thought, "Heaven grant he does not die. We should be overwhelmed with ridicule and shame." When the grave was ready, Raguel went back to the house, called his wife, and said, "Will you send a maid to the room to see if Tobias is still alive? For if he is dead, we may be able to bury him without anyone else knowing." They sent the maid, lit the lamp, opened the door, and the maid went in. She found the two fast asleep together. She came out again and whispered, "He is not dead, all is well." Then Raguel blessed the God of heaven with these words, "You are blessed, my God, with every blessing that is pure. May you be blessed for evermore. You are blessed for having made me glad. What I feared has not happened. Instead, you have shown us your boundless mercy. You are blessed for taking pity on this only son, this only daughter. Grant them, Master, your mercy and your protection. Let them live out their lives in happiness and in mercy." And he made his servants fill the grave in before dawn broke. He told his wife to make an ovenful of bread. He went to his flock, brought back 2 oxen and 4 sheep, and gave orders for them to be cooked, and preparations began. He called Tobias and said, "I will not hear of your leaving here for a fortnight. You are to stay where you are, eating and drinking with me. You will make my daughter happy again after all her troubles. After that, take away a half of all I have, and take her safe and sound back to your father. When my wife and I are dead, you shall have the other half. Courage, my boy. I am your father, and Edna is your mother. We are your parents in future, as we are your sisters. Courage, my son." The Wedding Feast. Chapter 9. Then Tobias turned to Raphael. "Brother Azarias," he said, "take 4 servants and 2 camels and leave to Rages. Go to Gabriel's house, give him the receipt and see about the money. Then invite him to come with you to my wedding feast. You know that my father must be counting the days, and that I cannot lose a single one without worrying him. You see what Raguel has pledged himself to do. I am bound by his oath." So Raphael left for Rages in Media with the 4 servants and 2 camels. They stayed with Gabriel, and Raphael showed him the receipt. He told him about the marriage of Tobias, son of Tobith, and gave him his invitation to the wedding feast. Gabriel started counting out the sacks to him. The seals were intact, and they loaded them onto the camels. Early in the morning, they set off together for the feast, and reached Raguel's house, where they found Tobias dining. He rose to greet Gabriel, who burst into tears and blessed him with the words, "Excellent son of a father, beyond reproach, just and generous in his dealings. The Lord give heaven's blessing to you, to your wife's father and mother. Blessed be God for granting me the sight of this living image of my cousin Tobith." Chapter 10. Every day, meanwhile, Tobit kept reckoning the days required for the journey there and the journey back. The full number went by, and still his son had not come. Then he thought, "I hope he has not been delayed there. I hope Gabriel is not dead. so that no one will give him the silver. And he began to worry. His wife Anna kept saying, "My son is dead. He is no longer among the living." And she began to weep and mourn over her son. She kept saying, "Alas, I should never have let you leave me, my child, you, the light of my eyes." And Tobith would reply, "Hush, my sister, do not worry. All is well with him. Something has happened there to delay them. His companion is someone we can trust, one of our kinsmen at that. Do not lose heart, my sister. He will soon be here." But all she would say was, "Leave me alone. Do not try to deceive me. My child is dead." And every day she would go abruptly out to watch the road by which her son had left. She trusted no eyes but her own. Once the sun had set, she would come home again, only to weep and mourn all night, unable to sleep. After the 14 days of feasting that Raguel had sworn to keep for his daughter's marriage, Tobias came to him and said, "Let me go now. My father and mother must have lost all hope of seeing me again. So I beg you, father, to let me return to my father's house. I have told you the plight he was in when I left him." Raguel said to Tobias, "Stay, my son, stay with me. I shall send messengers to your father Tobith to give him news of you." But Tobias pressed him, "No, I beg you to let me go back to my father's house." Without more ado, Raguel committed Sarah, his bride, into his keeping. He gave Tobias half his wealth, slaves, men and women, oxen and sheep, donkeys and camels, clothes and money, and household things. And so he let them leave happily. To Tobias he said these parting words, "Good health, my son, and a happy journey. May the Lord of heaven be gracious to you and your wife Sarah. I hope to see your children before I die." To his daughter Sarah he said, "Go now to your father-in-law's house, since henceforward they are as much your parents as those who gave you life. Go in peace, my daughter. I hope to hear nothing but good of you as long as I live." He said goodbye to them and let them go. Edna in her turn said to Tobias, "Dear son and brother, may it please the Lord to bring you back again. I hope to live long enough to see the children of you and my daughter Sarah before I die. In the sight of the Lord, I give my daughter into your keeping. Never make her unhappy as long as you live. Go in peace, my son. Henceforward, I am your mother and Sarah is your sister. May we all live happily for the rest of our lives." And she kissed them both and saw them set out happily. Tobias left Raguel's house with his mind at ease. In his gladness he blessed the Lord of heaven and earth, the King of all that is, for the happy issue of his travels. He gave this blessing to Raguel and his wife Edna. "May it be my happiness to honor you for the rest of my life." Tobit's sight restored. Chapter 11. They were nearly at Kesarin, opposite Nineveh, when Raphael said, "You know the plight in which we left your father. Let us go on ahead of your wife and prepare the house ourselves while she travels behind with the others." They went on together. Raphael warned Tobias to take the girl with him, and the dog followed them. Anna was sitting, watching the road by which her son would come. She was sure at once it must be he, and said to the father, "Here comes your son with his companion." Raphael said to Tobias before he reached his father, "I give you my word that your father's eyes will open. You must put the fish's gall to his eyes. The medicine will smart and will draw a filmy white skin off his eyes, and your father will no more be blind but will be able to see the light." The mother ran forward and threw her arms around his son's neck. "Now I can die," she said. "I have seen you again," and she wept. Tobit rose to his feet and stumbled across the courtyard through the door. Tobias came on towards him. He had the fish's gall in his hand. He blew into his eyes and said, steadying him, "Take courage, father." With this he applied the medicine, left it there a while, then with both hands peeled away a filmy skin from the corners of his eyes. Then his father fell on his neck and wept. He exclaimed, "I can see you, my son, the light of my eyes." And he said, "Blessed be God, blessed be his great name, blessed be all his holy angels, blessed be his great name for evermore. For having afflicted me, he has had pity on me, and now I see my son Tobias." Tobias went indoors, joyfully blessing God at the top of his voice. Then he told his father everything, how his journey had been successful and he had brought the silver back. Now he had married Sarah, the daughter of Raguel, how she was following him now, close behind, and could not be far from the gates of Nineveh. Tobit set off to the gates of Nineveh to meet his daughter-in-law, giving joyful praise to God as he went. When the people of Nineveh saw him walking without a guide and stepping forward as briskly as of old, they were astonished. Tobit described to them how God had taken pity on him and had opened his eyes. Then Tobit met Sarah, the bride of his son Tobias, and blessed her in these words, "Welcome, daughter. Blessed be your God for sending you to us, my daughter. Welcome now to your own house in joyfulness and in blessedness. Come in, my daughter." That day brought joy to the Jews of Nineveh, and his cousins Ahikar and Nadab came to share in Tobit's happiness. The Revelation, Chapter 12. When the wedding feast was over, Tobit called his son Tobias and said, "My son, you ought to think about paying the amount due to your fellow traveler. Give him more than the figure agreed on." "Father," he replied, "how much am I to give him for his help? Even if I give him half the goods he brought back with me, I shall not be the loser. He has brought me back safe and sound. He has cured my wife. He has brought the money back too, and now he has cured you as well. How much am I to give him for all this?" Tobit said, "He has richly earned half what he brought back." So Tobias called his companion and said, "Take half of what you brought back in payment for all you have done, and go in peace." Then Raphael took them both aside and said, "Bless God, utter his praise before all the living for the favor he has shown you. Bless and extol his name. Proclaim before all people the deeds of God as they deserve, and never tire of giving him thanks. It is right to keep the secret of a king, yet right to reveal and publish the works of God as they deserve. Do what is good, and no evil can befall you. Prayer with fasting and alms with uprightness are better than riches with iniquity. Better to practice almsgiving than to hoard up gold. Almsgiving saves from death and purges every kind of sin. Those who give alms have their fill of days. Those who commit sin and do evil bring harm on themselves. I am going to tell you the whole truth, hiding nothing from you. I have already told you that it is right to keep the secret of a king, yet right too to reveal in a worthy way the words of God. So you must know that when you and Sarah were at prayer, it was I who offered your supplications before the glory of the Lord and who read them. So too when you were burying the dead. When you did not hesitate to get up and leave the table to go and bury a dead man, I was sent to test your faith. And at the same time, God sent me to heal you and your daughter-in-law Sarah. I am Raphael, one of the 7 angels who stand ever ready to enter the presence of the glory of the Lord." They were both overwhelmed with awe. They fell on their faces in terror. But the angel said, "Do not be afraid. Peace be with you. Bless God forever. As far as I was concerned when I was with you, my presence was not by any decision of mine, but by the will of God. He is the one whom you must bless as long as you live. He the one that you must praise. You thought you saw me eating, but that was appearance and no more. Now bless the Lord on earth and give thanks to God. I am about to return to him who sent me from above. Write down all that was happened. And he rose in the air. When they stood up again, he was no longer visible. They praised God with hymns. They thanked him for having performed such wonders. Had not an angel of God appeared to them? Zion, chapter 13. And he said, Blessed be God who lives forever, for his reign endures throughout all ages. For he both punishes and pardons. He sends people down to the depths of the underworld and draws them up from utter destruction. No one can escape his hand. Declare his praise before the nations, you who are the children of Israel. For if he has scattered you among them, there too he has shown you his greatness. Extol him before all the living. He is our Lord, and he is our God. He is our Father, and he is God forever and ever. Though he punishes you for your iniquities, he will take pity on you all. He will gather you from every nation, wherever you have been scattered. If you return to him with all your heart and all your soul, behaving honestly towards him, then he will return to you and hide his face from you no longer. Consider how well he has treated you. Loudly give him thanks. Bless the Lord of justice and extol the King of the ages. I, for my part, sing his praise in the country of my exile. I make his power and greatness known to a nation that has sinned. Sinners, return to him. Let your conduct be upright before him. Perhaps he will be gracious to you and take pity on you. I, for my part, extol God, and my soul rejoices in the King of the heaven. Let his greatness be on every tongue. His praises be sung in Jerusalem. Jerusalem, holy city, God has scourged you for what you have done, but will still take pity on the children of the upright. Thank the Lord as he deserves, and bless the King of the ages, that your temple may be rebuilt with joy within you. Within you he may comfort every exile, and within you he may love all those who are distressed for all generations to come. A bright light will shine over all the regions of the earth. Many nations will come from far away, from all the ends of the earth, to dwell close to the holy name of the Lord God, with gifts in their hands for the King of heaven. Within you, generation after generation will proclaim their joy, and the name of her who is elect will endure through the generations to come. Cursed be any who affront you. Cursed be any who destroy you, who throw down your walls, who raze your towers, who burn your houses. Eternally blessed be he who rebuilds you. Then you will exult and rejoice over the children of the upright, for they will all have been gathered in and will bless the Lord of the ages. Blessed are those who love you. Bless those who rejoice over your peace. Bless those who have mourned over all your punishment, for they will soon rejoice within you. Witness all your blessedness in days to come. My soul blesses the Lord, the great King, because Jerusalem will be built anew and his house forever and ever. What bliss if one of my family be left to see your glory and praise the King of heaven. The gates of Jerusalem will be built of sapphire and of emerald, and all your walls of precious stone. The towers of Jerusalem will be built of gold, and their battlements of pure gold. The streets of Jerusalem will be paved with ruby and with stones of Ophir. The gates of Jerusalem will resound with songs of exultation, and all her houses will say, Alleluia! Blessed be the God of Israel. Within you they will bless the holy name forever and ever. Chapter 14. The end of the hymns of Tobith, Nineveh. Tobit died when he was 112 years old and received an honorable burial in Nineveh. He had been 62 when he went blind, and after his cure, he lived in comfort, practicing almsgiving and continually praising God and extolling His greatness. When he was at the point of death, he summoned his son Tobias and gave him these instructions. My son, take your children and hurry away to Media, since I believe the word of God pronounced over Nineveh by Nahum. Everything will come true. Everything happened that the emissaries of God, the prophets of Israel, have predicted against Assyria and Nineveh. Not one of their words will prove empty. It will all take place in due time. You will be safer in Media than in Assyria or in Babylonia. Since I for my part know and believe that everything God has said will come true, so it will be, and not a word of the prophecies will fail. A census will be taken of our brothers living in the land of Israel, and they will be exiled far from their own fair country. The entire territory of Israel will become a desert, and Samaria and Jerusalem will become a desert, and the house of God for a time will be laid waste and burnt. Then once again God will take pity on them and bring them back to the land of Israel. They will rebuild his house, although it will be less beautiful than the first, until the time is fulfilled. But after this, all will return from captivity and rebuild Jerusalem in all her glory. And the house of God will be rebuilt within her, as the prophets of Israel have foretold. And all the people of the whole earth will be converted and will reverence God with all sincerity. All will renounce their false gods who have led them astray into error, and will bless the God of ages in uprightness. All the Israelites spared in those days will remember God in sincerity of heart. They will come and gather in Jerusalem, and thereafter dwell securely in the land of Abraham, which will be theirs. And those who sincerely love God will rejoice, and those who commit sin and wickedness will vanish from the earth. And now, my children, I lay this duty on you: serve God sincerely, and do what is pleasing to Him, and lay on your children the obligation to behave uprightly, to give alms, to keep God in mind, and to bless His name always, sincerely and with all their might. So then, my son, leave Nineveh. Do not stay here. As soon as you have buried your mother next to me, go the same day, whenever it may be, and do not linger in this country where I see wickedness and perfidy, unashamedly triumphant. Consider, my child, all the things done by Nadab to his foster father Ahikar. Was not Ahikar forced to go underground, though still a living man? But God made the criminal pay for his outrage before his victim's eyes. Since Ahikar came back to the light of day, while Nadab went down to everlasting darkness in punishment for plotting against Ahikar's life. Because of his good works, Ahikar escaped the deadly snare Nadab had laid for him, and Nadab fell into it to his own ruin. So, my children, you see what comes of almsgiving, and what wickedness leads to, I mean to death. But now breath fails me. They laid him back on his bed. He died and was buried with honor. When his mother died, Tobias buried her beside his father. Then he left for Media with his wife and children. He lived in Ecbatana with Raguel, his father-in-law. He treated the aging parents of his wife with every care and respect, and later buried them in Ecbatana in Media. Tobias inherited the patrimony of Raguel besides that of his father Tobith. Much honored, he lived to the age of 117 years. Before he died, he witnessed the ruin of Nineveh. He saw the Ninevites taken prisoner and deported to Media by Cyaxares, king of Media. He blessed God for everything he inflicted on the Ninevites and Assyrians. Before his death, he had the opportunity of rejoicing over the fate of Nineveh, and he blessed the Lord God forever and ever. Amen.